Quarterbacks and tight ends rankings, week 4, presented by UrbanandM.com. Writing this on Thursday night for Friday's video. Expect more videos every week for the other unit groupings, like wide receiver, running back, waiver wire, and injury news. And click the playlist in the top right so you don't miss anything. If you're new here, I take industry-leading data, Vegas sports books, and expert analysis to provide you with optimal weekly rankings for the utmost accuracy when setting your weekly lineups. For week 4, the S tier is projected about 20 fantasy points or more. A tier is about 19. B is 18 to 17 fantasy points. C tier is 16 to 15. And D tier is the rest. It's 15 projected fantasy points or less for your quarterbacks. And it starts with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen, 241 over-under, 290 yards per game, 2.4 touchdowns per game versus the Saints, 25th worst defense. They are insane, 15-point favorites with a huge team total. Lamar Jackson, 272 over-under, 280 yards per game, 3.3 tutties per game. He travels to Kansas to take on their 9th best defense, and it's going to be a close, high-scoring banger, tied for the 2nd highest-scoring game of the week. And at 3, it's Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts at 4. Justin Herbert, 274 over-under, 309 yards per game. 2 tutties per game. He travels to New York, and he faces the Giants, 24th worst. So that's good. They're 6-point favorites. Chargers are undefeated. Jalen, also undefeated. Okay? 229 over-under. That's not that great. 199 yards per game. That makes us a little confused. But 2.3 touchdowns per game. He travels to Tampa to take on the league average Bucs defense as favorites as well. Don't be scared, okay? You drafted him. A tier is for the rest of the elite fantasy quarterbacks, projected for 19 fantasy points or more. There are 5 of them. And we'll start with Caleb Williams and Mahomes at 5 and 6. Caleb Williams, 255 over-under, 271 yards per game, and 2.6 touchdowns per game. That's how he's 9th for scoring. He's got a soft defense in Vegas, and a close game is slight favorites in the 2nd highest scoring game of the week. Patrick Mahomes, also in the other 2nd highest scoring game of the week, at home against the Ravens. Huge total for these two guys. Only 1.7 touchdowns for Mahomes, but it's 264 over-under, 265 yards per game. Baltimore's 31st for points allowed versus quarterbacks, by the way. All these guys are in great position. Great matchups. Great performances projected. Next, Love Boat. Bo Nix and Draco May at 7, 8, and 9. Jordan Love Boat, 228 over-under, 232 yards per game, 1.7 tutties per game. He's in Dallas, and he gets their 27th worst defense. They're 7-point favorites. Huge team total. Very good. Bo Nix, 202 yards per game, 245 over-under, though. That's better. 1.7 tutties per game as well. He faces the Bengals. Terrible team, and 26th defense. Very bad. 7-point favorites. Great total. Bo Nix, J-Love, looking good. Good matchups. Drake May, 236 over-under, 291 yards per game, 2 touchdowns per game. He faces Carolina. Why isn't he above these other guys then? Well, they are indeed also 5-point favorites, but Carolina is 8th best. He's got the toughest matchup. That's why he's at the end. Everybody else has really soft matchups, but he's the first one. He got Carolina's 8th best defense for points allowed. So he's at the back of the grouping. Same thing for these guys. Big games, heavy favorites against incomplete teams. And we're not even at 10 yet, okay? And it's about to get sketchy, all right? With quarterback injuries and a lot of new teams for quarterbacks this year. It's a minefield. Next, IrvinandM.com. IrvinandM.com is my company my best friend and I started in 2020. We literally make everything ourselves by hand. We have earrings, rings, necklaces, bracelets, tie clips, apparel, and more. Over a dozen curated gemstones and 100 handcrafted products. If you need a gift or something special for yourself, use the promo code in the description, find something you love, and buy it today. Back to the video. If you like spending money and looking good, then shop in my store. Buy a shirt like this one, or a sweet, unbelievably sick hat like this one. Look at how good it looks. Hell, look at how good it looks. Wow. Buy it right now. Use promo code FANTASYFOOTBALL10 for 10% off your entire order. It's B tier. It's about to get wild. It's 17 to 18 fantasy points. But there's 6. So hopefully your starter is here or above. And we'll go Daniel Jones at 10 and Geno Smith. Are you having a conniption? We got Long Neck Jones and know this guy. Look at it. Daniel Jones, 238 over under, but 290 yards per game. All right. 2 touchdowns per game. All right. You got to forget about what you used to think you knew. All right. Geno Smith, 252 over under, basically the same. A staggering 289 yards per game. Only 1.3 tutties per game, but a softer matchup against Chicago's 28th worst. It's an enormous game total, and the Raiders are favorites against the Bears. Long Neck Jones gets the more difficult matchup against the Rams, league average defense, but it is a high-scoring game of the week, and it's a close game. He's going to be using that long neck to see them air yards going down the field as he's trying to keep up with Fat Stafford and the Rams. Man, I love football. 2 turbo positions for 2 turbo nerds. Jared Goff is next. At 12, 227 over under, 253 yards per game, 2.3 tutties per game. He's the man. Okay, he's the last of his kind, the statue pocket passer of old. He faces the Browns league average, and they are ludicrous 10-point favorites in this matchup against the Browns. All good positions. All these guys gonna do good this week. Gonna do good. All right. This is where it gets shady. We'll go with Baker. JD5. And Brock lives in a treehouse in his parents' backyard. Purdy at 13, 14, and 15. Baker Mayfield. I don't know, dude. They're all hurt. Okay. Baker's arm is questionable, limited in practice. Jaden Daniels, his knee was limited in practice. Brock Purdy, who initially seemed like he could go, and he gets updated over his toe, and he's questionable as well. I mean, I don't know. If any of these guys can play, they should be here. But they're at the end with tougher matchups. In spite of their talent, Baker gets Philly. That's a losing game with a low total. JD5 gets Atlanta. Very good defense. Close game. It's an okay total. Brock and the Niners would face the Jaguars' 5th best defense so far in a close game. So that's rough. Pretty rough. Pretty rough for these 3. Well, we've got 15 on the board. Let's see who's at 16. It's C tier. 16 to 15 fantasy points for these quarterbacks. We're getting desperate, okay? There's only one that stands above the rest, and it's Fat Stafford at 16. 250 over under, 245 yards per game, only 1.7 tutties. He's got a tough matchup this week against the Colts, 9th best defense, but he's supposed to win. And remember, it's the highest scoring game of the week. He's your last hope at popping off, and the rest are much, much more glum. This is as good as it gets. Look at the board, okay? From here, it's devastating. CJ Stroud is next at 17. 223 over under, 227 yards per game, not even 1 tutty per game. He's got a great matchup. He faces the Titans. Titans are not doing well offensively, defensively. They're 30th for points against, 28th, points for. Even with Houston being 7-point favorites, this is the lowest scoring game of the week. Houston is the league's worst at generating points. So that's where we're at. You go from Fat Stafford to CJ Stroud and 16 points for a team scored in a game. That's not good. Dak Prescott, 18. I know it's hard to believe. How could it be a worse performance than CJ Stroud, than what I just said? 237 over-under, and he's had 268 yards per game. Well, I'll tell you. It's because they face Green Bay's number 1 defense, and they are 10-point dogs, okay? 10-point dogs. They're not going to win. They're going to lose big time. Cowboys are losing. They're saying they're going to lose 17-27. Very not good. And to continue the not good hopelessness, it's Trevor and Tua, 19-20. He's also going to lose and hardly throws a touchdown. 236 over-under for Trevor. 232 yards per game. He travels to California, faces the Niners' third best defense. The game total is pretty good, but hurt Brock Purdy should perform better. Okay? They're not supposed to win this one, with or without him. So, that's not good. Tua, 191 yards per game, no touchdowns. Throws an interception 130% of the time. Got a great matchup against another bad team, the Jets, and their 28th worst defense. But the game total sucks. Surprisingly, Miami's supposed to win. I'm guessing by 3 by way of HN and Ollie Gordon. Absolutely devastating. And we'll go with Justin Fields, his opponent. Bryce Too Nice and Michael, don't call him Penis Jr. Next, at 21, 22, and 23. It's the end, boys, okay? Justin Fields, is he back from injury in Miami against one of the only worst defenses in their own, the 32nd Dolphins defense? Once again, total sucks. The Jets are set to lose by 3. I mean, I don't care who it is. It has to be your last resort to play the week. The guy comes back from his injury, okay? 170 yards per game, 1 touchdown per game. I mean, what are we talking about here? Bryce Too Nice at New England, set to lose by 4. Terrible total at 43. One of the lowest of the week, 217 yards per game. Michael Penix faces the Commanders with or without JD5 and set to lose by 7. Worst total ever. 38 measly points, implying the final score to be 15-22. Washington wins. Disgusting. Okay? Set to lose by 3. Set to lose by 5. Set to lose by 7. You don't want none of this, really. You don't want none of this. You can give Fat Stafford a chance, but it's disgusting. Okay? It's disgusting. And the only thing more disgusting is D tier. And from here, it's over. Don't start Jackson Dart, Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Cam Ward. I mean, I'll recap screenshots at the end. Let's do the tight ends. The tight end landscape this week is faring far better than the quarterback landscape. There's over a dozen respectable options this week, but S tier is 12 fantasy points or more, and there's 4, and they're good for about 50 to 60 yards. Brock Bowers at 1, 54 over under, 60 yards per game, 7 targets per game, gets Chicago, and they're set to win. Jake Ferguson at 2, 53 over under, 61 yards per game, 11 targets per game. Hallelujah. Tucker Kraft, he's hurt, not going to have any effect, apparently. 42 over under, 56 yards per game, 5 targets, the least of the lot, but he scores a tutty 70% of the time. He gets Dallas. They're going to win by a lot. Tyler Warren, 50 over under, 64 yards per game, 7 targets per game at the Rams. These are the best tight ends in fantasy, except for the most fantasy points this week. A tier is for more elite tight ends projected for about 11 fantasy points and about 40 to 50 yards. There's only 3 this week. Hunter Henry, Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid at 5, 6, and 7. They have basically the same stats. Hunter Henry has the most targets at 7 targets. Laporta with 6 per game, and Kincaid with 5 per game. Hunter and Dalton get touchdowns 70% of their games, but it's 35 to 38 over-under for these guys and 46 to 55 yards per game for these guys. More importantly, their matchups cement them here as all 3 of their teams should easily win their games, as the Patriots, Lions, and Bills are all 3 very heavily favorited this week. Good volume, good offenses, good matchups. That's what we like. If you don't have your starter yet, well, B tier has 4 more, set for 10 fantasy points and a respectable 30 to 40 yards. Jawan Johnson at 8, 43 over-under, 59 yards per game, 9 targets per game. He gets a tutty 30% of the time, and even though he's on the Saints, they're going to lose by 14 points, rest assured. He's the only functioning part of their offense. And at 9 and 10, it's Travis Kelce and Zach Ertz. They look like brothers. Or like this is like a older picture, and this is like a... And they're basically the same this week as well. Zach has a tougher matchup against Atlanta. Kelce gets a softer defense and a higher scoring game this week. But Ertz scores in 70% of his games compared to Travis at 30%. But aside from that, they're both set for 34 and 39 projected yards and have averaged 43 to 45. 6 targets for Travis, 5 targets per game for Zach. Solid choices, good volume, good game scripts. And at 11, it's TJ Hawk-Tua. I know, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. I'm not sure how to feel. 36 over-under, 25 yards per game, 4 targets per game. Vegas thinks he can still play ball. Or they're just bleeding has-beens dry of their little piggy banks with over-unders that they know he'll never make. Are they that cruel? Would they stoop so low? What's going on, Hawkinson? He gets Pittsburgh this week. Terrible game total, but they should win. C tier is about 9 fantasy points in the last of the starters. There's only 6 good options left before you're selling week 4. With a dog water start, you eat it. 12 and 13, it's Njoku and Kyle Pitts. Njoku doesn't want to give up tight end 1 for the Browns, and I believe in him. Don't call him Penix. Throws to basically just Pitts, so they end up with the same performance. 38 and 39 over-under each, and 39 to 45 yards per game for these two. 6 targets apiece. Fannin started hot, but the vets brought back the split in Pitts. Well, aside from Bijan, he's got almost as many yards as London, but with a little more than half the targets. So they're reliable. Dallas Goedert and Mark Andrews at 14 and 15, back from the dead. Dallas Goedert has been a consistent good boy thus far, while Mark just blew up the averages with his 91-yard performance. If you want to know what to expect, Dallas is set for 34 yards and has managed 38 yards per game, over 4 targets per game. Scored a tutty half the time. 50% is great. Well, Mark, he could give you 2 fantasy points, or he could go 6 for 6, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and 27 fantasy points. Take your odds. For a more neutered approach, we close it out with Harold Fannin, Njoku's handcuff, in Brenton Strange. At 16 and 17. It's last call. Believe it or not, at 16 and 17, you're still okay this week with 6 targets for Fannin and 5 targets for Strange. 45 yards per game for both of them. They're in losing games, of course, but you're still pretty safe this week with your tight end choices. Not bad. Which brings us to D tier. 0 safety. It's the rest. It's less than 8 fantasy points. It's horrible games, horrible matchups, horrible offenses. Dalton Schultz. Don't start him. Kate Otten, Jonnu Smith, Pat Fryermuth, Cole Kmet, Gasecki, Taylor. I mean, recap. All right. That's your top quarterbacks. That's your top tight ends. Ask me questions down in the comments. Don't forget to click the playlist and check the other rankings vids for week 4. Like and subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can see all the videos each week before submitting your lineups. It is free, so it is a good value. But if you like spending money and you like looking your best, use the promo code and spend it in my store. And watch some more videos!